What's up, guys? Welcome to the first day of March Minifigure Madness. Today is R2D-Tuesday, so I'm going to be talking about the different versions of R2D2 and C-3PO that I have. So the first R2D2 that I have is one of the older models of R2D2. As you can notice, he has mostly a white head with the silver and blue lining up top. This is the one that I always remember. This is the first R2D2 model that I ever had. You can see he has all the compartments, and he's a very bright blue color where he's blue. Now, most of the R2D2s are pretty much the same. There are a few slight differences between some of them, and so we'll be going over that now. And as you can see, with this second version of R2D2 that I have, his head is mostly gray. It's not a silvery gray, it's just a regular gray, and it still has that bright blue. Now, the print here is the major step up. They do have some more printing on the back of this head, and as you can see, it's lower down, because I put the printing all the way down on the head and not just on this top ring here. So this is one of the first different reprints that I remember when this came out. I was so surprised that they had come out with a different R2D2, because I mean, how could you get much different than the classic one from the eyes of me as a child? So this one I have like 2 or 3 of. It's pretty common to come by these. It's been phased out of usage now, however. Now this is probably objectively the best R2D2 model. As you can see, the headpiece is this shiny silver here, which is similar to the first one. However, it is a bit darker of a gray, which I don't mind that. And also the blue and all the colors in general have been muted down. So this might be one of the more accurate colorations of R2D2. It's still probably not my favorite. I do like how the compartments here, the silver on those, shine a bit in the light. I think that's a clever touch. But they use generally the same layout for the prints. There are just some subtle differences, and mainly just the color change. Like these compartments down in the bottom corners are a bit different. But besides that, they're not really all that different. But I mean, all 3 of these R2s are pretty well done. This one's only been in print for a couple years, so I've only recently acquired one that looks like this. Okay, now let's move on to the C-3POs. So this here is one of my older C-3POs. As you can see, it's just a classic gold. It has this little chest printing, custom headpiece. It does have this back printing. It has some nice shading on it and everything. But yeah, it's a nice, very standard, very simplistic. Definitely fits the older aesthetic of the other ones. And I like this minifigure a lot. And it's pretty well designed for its time period. Like I said, it's simplistic, but it doesn't need to be super complicated for what this minifigure is. Now, the next updated version that I have, unfortunately, mine is currently broken, which I have the pieces to repair it, so I can super glue it back together. I mean, it will never fully be fixed, but as you can see, they put a coloration in the eyes, so his eyes look more like they're glowing like they do in the actual movies. And as you can see, the chest piece, you can see the wiring is different and the caging has more details. Like I said, unfortunately, mine is broken, but as you can see, it is largely similar. I mean, it's still similar to the first one. It definitely has more colors and more details, but obviously it was released a lot later, so it's going to be a lot different colors. But it still keeps up with the same general aesthetic. They just added some wires. I like this minifigure a lot. As you can see, the legs still by this point didn't have any printing, which is a bit of a downside, but leg printing wasn't always a necessity for some characters like this, so it gets a pass. Now, you'll notice this one is very similar to the last C-3PO we just talked about, and that's because it is largely the same. There might be some differences in some of the wire colorings, I think, but besides that, it's pretty much exactly the same. The big difference here is that the leg pieces actually have a printing on this one, and the back printing has a little bit more darker shading around some of these parts, which is always a nice touch. Yeah, all 3 of these are still largely the same. Now, I've been saving this for very last because this one has a lot of importance to me. Now, these here are definitely my oldest R2D2 and C-3PO. As you can see, when I was younger, I tried to replicate the scene from Return of the Jedi where they're buried in the sand and they get pulled up by the magnet. So this one definitely was my first one, and it has all these sand marks on it, and it's scratched up, and the coloration's bad. You can definitely see on the back here how very scratched up it is and all dirty. Now this C-3PO actually has a completely different color from the rest. As you can see, it's not even a gold, it's more like a cream color. Now I don't know exactly what sets these are from. If I got them from a set and not just from minifigure bags, then I don't have the instruction books to the set anymore, but these very well may have been some of my first minifigures. Unfortunately, my leg piece broke off a very long time ago, but I recently super glued it back together, so while, the leg piece can move, but if I try to move the other one, it will break off. And in The Empire Strikes Back, he gets pulled apart. So, he's a droid. I always wanted to pull his limbs off and everything, and always make him assemble and rebuild. So this leg piece eventually snapped off the connector a very long time ago, but I've always kept the pieces. So I was able to repair him about a year ago, and Yeah, these are very personal minifigures to me. All right, so that's pretty much every R2D2 that I have. I mean, every minifigure that I have. I do have the big R2D2 set, but this is a minifigure review, so if I want to talk about that some other time later, I will. Thanks for joining me today for R2D Tuesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Farted on the track. Farted. Oh, yeah. Yeah! We love that Dumpster Kid video. We all do! For more, like and subscribe. Hit it! Turn on the post notifications. Do it! Even when you're on vacation, you'll get